What is up, everybody? It's your boy Nerd Kane. I finally got Pandemic. Well, I don't know if I could say finally because it just came out so fast. Got Pandemic in my hands. This is about the 7th time I've tried to do a take on recording this because I keep messing things up and wanting to talk about something and forgetting to talk about another thing and talk about this. The review of the book is actually going to be kind of short. What I want to talk about a little bit more is the things surrounding it, the meaning, what the book means to Splato Comics, what the book means to the industry, what diversity in comics means to the industry now in 2020. First off, in a nutshell, it's a very good book. It's not a perfect book. There is one thing, I think it was in the editing, that I probably would have changed. Other than that, the book takes off. It has a rocket pace. From page 1 to about page 4, it goes from 0 to the Italian Job in those 4 pages. It's the Italian Job on a scooter, which the main character, the protagonist, takes off on a high speed for the city, high speed chase on a scooter. Don't let 35 miles per hour on a scooter fool you. In a city setting, a scooter is incredibly quick. You probably couldn't catch, in New York City, you couldn't catch a scooter with a Viper. That's how different it is in a big city like that. Like when I was in Europe, holy cow. And the few times that I rode a scooter in Italy, wow. I mean, it's different. But anyway, I digress. The book is very good. It's a really cool chase scene. If you don't know by now, and you haven't read by now, this is a prequel. It leads into something else. It leads into a book that your boy Zach has talked about maybe once or twice, and I will let him talk about it because I'm sure now that this is out, he's going to start talking about that book more often. He's probably going to announce it soon now that he's getting Pandemic and he's getting the Ballad of No out. You know, he has his rules about how many campaigns he wants to have. But this book, as a number 1, as a prequel, did its job. It entertained me, and it got me hyped about the next thing. The next book, if I were to take a glance at it and tell you what it's going to be like, think of it as the Mission Impossible crew in the Splatoverse, and that's what it is. And not just the Splatoverse. He's taking a page from old school Marvel. Old school Marvel used to say, you know, the world of Marvel is the world outside your window. New Marvel in 2020 says the world of Marvel is the world outside your window as long as you're looking way far to the left. But he's taken a page out of that. It's based on the pandemic. He started this book. He had an idea while he was in New York. He was looking around at the empty city and thought, somebody's got to be getting up to some bullshit. And this is the story that sort of sprang from that thought. It is the world outside your window. It's something we're all dealing with. I want to take a second. Credit where credit's due. Renzo Rodriguez. The art is great. The art is beautiful. Brunelleschi would be proud because the perspective lines are all running. When you do a cityscape, a lot of artists, especially nowadays, I don't know why, because digital art software is pretty much does the perspective for you. I've seen Marvel books and DC books with the perspective is not right, and that's the cityscapes look good. The character is always on model. The colors are very good for the chase scene. This is an action chase movie. Like I said, this is sort of like the Italian Job on a scooter. It's all done very well. The coloring, the art, and you can see in all of this, in all the layouts and the way he tells a story through these pictures, since this is a visual medium, you can tell that your boy Zach is getting more and more polished every year that he does this with Splato Comics. You can see, look at this, and then look at, the original Jawbreakers, the one that he drew, the one that he tries to get us to forget about. Go look at that and go look at this. And this is a professional, polished comic book that was done in about 4 months. I'll get to that later as well. Now, Zach, I know you've always said you're going to do your stories, you're going to do about 5 years, and then you're going to pop smoke. That's bullshit, dude. You're getting better and better. You're getting more talented at this. Don't pop smoke. Don't pop smoke. Be the next Stan Lee in comics, because comics needs someone like that. But anyway, getting back to the story, she's got rent to pay. She's been laid off. So the main character, who by the way is drawn thicker than a bowl of cold oatmeal, good decision there. she's going to go to one of the places that she used to work and rob the place, also known as robbing the place. So she's going to take this stuff, and she's being a hooligan. She's breaking the law. At no point, and that's sort of what's compelling, and that's sort of what's great about this character. At no point is this character justifying it as, I'm stealing this back against the patriarchy. I'm gonna moralize this in my own view. I'm gonna twist it to where this isn't a crime. At no point does she say this isn't a crime. She knows she's committing crime, but desperate situation. It's a really weird situation that she's been thrust into. She can't work. She's still got bills. She's got to pay an exorbitant amount of money for toilet paper, which he sort of touches on in the book as well. So it's very, very true to life. It's very real, and that's what makes it compelling to the people who, his audience, who are everybody on the earth living in 2020. It's the world outside the window. This character is, people can empathize with this character. A lot of people can, because the character's dealing with the things that a lot of people are dealing with in 2020. So in doing this, she sort of stumbles onto this Illuminati, and it's a very menacing type of attitude that these people have. It's always very foreboding. It's always, it makes a point in one of the scenes where, they're doing a meeting, and she sort of interrupts the meeting inadvertently, and the people who are in the meeting, the guy who's leading the meeting doesn't miss a beat. He just doesn't even see her, because, at the point, to him, she's nothing. She doesn't matter. It's the bigger picture that he's concerned with. There's a twisteroo with that whole thing, and it's very interesting, and it's very good, and it's very well hidden. The hook is really well hidden. You don't really realize it until the end, and the twist happens, and you're like, I'm not going to spoil it. Go read it. Go buy it. I think you should buy this because, it's capitalist. He's a capitalist. I'm a capitalist. We live in a capitalist society, and things have worked pretty darn well for 200 years. So you socialists can go piss off. No, I'm not going to get a whole lot more into the actual story because I don't want to spoil it. I want you to go buy it. But if there's one drawback, if there's one part of the book that it doesn't fall down, but it sort of stumbles. It still runs along at its pace, which is a very high pace, but it sort of trips over itself, is on the bridge. And to people who haven't read the book, this is going to seem really out of context. As a reader, I needed to see that woman get her head injured. There was a point, there's A, B, and C to the scene on the bridge. I saw A and I saw C. I needed to see B, and it was just missing, and it felt like it was missing. Imagine your favorite song, and then the hook on your favorite song. Take one beat out, and then play the song, and you'll know that it sort of stumbles on itself there. Aside from that, the book moves along at a rocket pace. It does really, really well. I had a lot of fun reading it, and like I said, I think I've said this before in this one, it actually accelerated me. I caught myself, and I had to say, slow down and read it, otherwise you might miss stuff. So yes, I highly recommend the book. I thought it was very, very good. I know what the detractors are going to say. If there's any detractors to the Comicsgate movement in comic books at this point, and really, there really shouldn't be too many that are too vocal at this point. They would sort of point and laugh and say, haha, you paid $25 for a floppy. And to that I would say, yes, I did. And I enjoyed it, and I would pay it again because it was really good, and that's a difficult thing. Apparently that's a really difficult thing to do in 2020, is to entertain somebody within 24 pages. I got my money's worth out of it. And in a purchase, that's what you're supposed to get. That's how you're supposed to feel when you go away from a purchase. So yes, I want to reemphasize that. I did pay $25 for a floppy. And if there's any EICs out there who are, Marvel or DC or IDW, I don't even know who's running IDW or DC anymore. But, I want you to think about this. How many legendary, quote unquote, legendary writers do you have on staff that you're paying an exorbitant amount to their page rate, who can't generate the energy and the excitement as one maniac sitting in a Kia Soul doing comic book reviews off of his crotch. He's developed, and he's not the only one. There's quite a few who've developed an audience, told them their story, asked them to buy, built that trust between them, between him and his audience, to where they said, okay, you're not trying to deceive me. This is an experiment. You told me that Pandemic is an experiment. You told me that The Ballad of No is an experiment. I trust you. I'll go along with you to see if this entertains me. Guess what? Dude hasn't let me down yet. So as soon as you're ready to line up the next project, Zach, I'm buying. Hey, where's Garrison? Tell me, when's Garrison coming out? I want to read Garrison. And just for a second, before I wrap this up, I kind of want to get back to the experiment. This was an experiment by Splato Comics, in that how quickly can you go from concept to production to fulfillment. And this one came out I don't know if anybody's kept record of how fast an Indiegogo has come out and been in the hands of the backers, but I think this took a little over 4 months, and The Ballad of No is going to break that record next week when I get that in my hands, because experiment successful. You can go from concept to production to fulfillment very, very fast in 2020, which you should be able to, given all the resources that just the average person has in front of them now. So I kind of want to wrap this up and get back to doing my days. I need to do another video for Harry Bergeron, get a little signal boost on him. But it was very good. I'm thoroughly impressed with just how good Pandemic was. The world outside your window. What's his catchphrase? Your world now. That's how he's framing it. That's been the reframing of the world outside your window, and it was very successful. It felt very real. The whole situation, even the way the character reacted, felt very real. There were very, very smart parts of the book. You want to show that your main character, this is me getting into story and character, things like that, and this is done in the book as well. You want to show that your character is awesome. You want to show that your character is smart. To do that, you don't need to make everybody else a blithering idiot, and that's sort of where Marvel falls down nowadays, is the character who they want to promote will be average intelligence, and then all the characters around them, they will write like blithering idiots. There's scenes in this book where other characters are smart too. They're very capable as well. There's one scene on a telephone where she's calling somebody for help, and that character who she's called for help does something very intelligent to kind of tip the protagonist off as to hey, somebody's in here right now, don't talk about anything, in fact hang up right now. It's you don't elevate your character by diminishing all the other characters. You elevate your character by having them do something elevated, do something extraordinary, do something out of just some breaking the mold. That's how you do that, and this was done really well. And there's quite a few times. It's a very fast book and it's a very short book, but there's a lot of really smart, well-written parts to this, which is part of what makes the book so impressive. So go get it. I highly recommend it. If you haven't bought it, I guess in the campaign that this was the campaign that this is leading into, he'll probably do a bundle. I highly recommend it. It's a really good book. It's a really fun book. I'm going to go read it a couple more times. That's how good it is. So that's all I got for this one. Keep an eye out for Splato Comics. I think it's going to start getting a lot bigger and bigger and bigger in comics as these big megalithic companies start to fade and wither. I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of this handcrafted labor of love comics coming out. So go check it out. Hit a like, hit a subscribe on this one. You guys, thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. Go out and buy this book, and have a good day. Bye.